Hi there, I'm Construction Gamer and this is the UK Northern Powerhouse on Transport Fever 2. This will be episode number 62 in the series, and in this episode we're going to continue with the construction of HS2. In the last episode we built the Crewe South Junction on HS2 Phase 2A, which basically goes from just south of Stafford to Crewe. So yeah, we've built this junction which we've just passed. Looks a little bit different, or possibly a lot different to how it did at the end of the last episode, because I've made some changes. I've done a little bit of detailing with retaining walls and things like that to make it look better. But at the end of the last episode, this section of the HS2 here was basically over to the right of the West Coast main line if you're looking north. But I've since discovered that I thought it was a bit odd to begin with, because it creates a massive conflict trying to get over. There's been a fancy kind of video CAD simulation of the junction, and it shows that the West Coast main line is actually changed a little bit. So there's a section which goes off to the left, a section which goes off to the right, and the HS2 slots in between the two of them. So it reduces the conflict of vehicles trying to get over onto the far platform, the northbound vehicles coming from HS2. So hopefully this is a bit more accurate now, and you can sort of see what I mean. So you're coming down HS2 here, trains which are going to depart or the West Coast main line and onto Crewe come off here, and then it splits off where the West Coast main line has been realigned basically to reduce that conflict. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, I think these ones here facing south are the up down fast. That's what I've got on my services. So the Pendolinos and the Avanti services are on these two, the up down fast, and these two tracks here are the up down slow, so as far as I can work out. So these are the London Midland, and I've also got a Grand Central service operating on that as well. So should be hopefully accurate, more accurate now. And obviously I've planted some trees and just made it look a little bit nicer with some paint and whatnot, and tried to get the speed of this up as fast as I can. What sort of speed are we getting? 85. Yeah, so that's not actually too bad, because you would be slowing down anyway to get onto the West Coast main line and then into Crewe. So that's not an issue. I've built a little bridge, not a bridge, that's not a green, I was going to call it a green bridge, but it's not. It's actually a tunnel underneath a wooded area. I think there are at least 2 tunnels between Crewe and Stafford, so I've built one of them and put some trees on the top of it using the more modern tunnel entrance there. I haven't quite finished it to Stafford yet, because that's just a case of putting in a bit of track and then putting in the Stafford station, whichever I decide. But what I wanted to do was get the Crewe North tunnel out of the way. So I think first of all it's going to require all of this to be demolished. Now there's a current consultation going on about a northerly connection to the West Coast main line, because that wasn't in the original plans for Phase 2B. It was just going to go straight out towards Manchester, but they're consulting on plans for a northern approach. So I think I'm going to build that, because I think if Phase 2B does go ahead, I'm pretty sure it will do, then I'm pretty certain that northern connection will be included, just because of the flexibility. Actually, I'm almost 100% certain that it will be included, because they've also included plans for a maintenance depot for HS2, which is absolutely enormous around here as well. So that probably would benefit from a connection to the West Coast main line, I'm guessing. So what we're going to do first, we do have this. Oh, that's quite long, isn't it? Do I want to demolish that? That's going to be in my way. Now I think I'm right in saying I've just put this in because I think there's a freight diversionary route underneath the northern end of Crewe, but that's where I want my tunnel portal to be. I might just get rid of that for now, just to make my life a little bit easier, because it's not going to be as difficult as the last junction, he says, but it's still going to be quite tricky because there's a lot of grade separation going on. So we'll smooth some terrain off to begin with, just give us a nice levelish playing field on which to build, and just have a quick look. So should we build the tunnel first? So we're using, what we're using, version 2. Yeah, and then tunnel right underneath. What are you colliding with? Shouldn't be colliding with anything. Right, to somewhere about there. Yeah, let's see what that does. Now, I'm in two minds about this. I don't know if I want to use the compact tunnel entry or just a standard tunnel, because I'd like HS2 to be in a little bit of a viaduct. Is it allowing us, not giving us an option to build? Oh yeah, you've got to do it from the other way. So if we start it from about there in a cutting, just makes our life a little bit easier when building the grade separation. So we'll have, maybe move this out a little bit, because it needs to point towards Manchester over there somewhere. So maybe like that, and then see if we can come down into, and that's gonna what that'll do is produce a really slow corner, won't it? And that's not coming down. Why would it let me build a tunnel entrance? Tunnel, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Let's see what this does. So what speed are we doing? Let me see what speed we're doing. 100. No, that's far too slow. 150. I guess 150 is acceptable for in a tunnel, possibly. I'm pretty certain trains won't be doing all 186 to 200 miles per hour inside tunnels, will they? And then bring that up. There we go. That's better. It's probably closer to the West Coast Main Line than it needs to be, and that's still quite a little bit. 150. That'd be better, wouldn't it? Bit more acceptable. And where's my little bit of second track? Now the only thing is, has this rendered? I'm not going to be able to see until I don't know if it just render a tunnel portal, or does it render? Yeah, it looks like the walls are concrete as well, doesn't it? I'm not sure if I've put the correct tunnel in there. Okie dokie, so I've had a couple of goes at this tunnel now. Hopefully I've got it right. It needs to be in the right position just to get this junction in, which is relatively complicated. So what we need to do next is get some tracks. So we'll get some standard ballasted tracks. So coming out of Crewe, heading north, we need a track which comes off the West Coast Main Line at a reasonable speed. I don't need to, well, actually, I have said that. It'd probably be speeding up anyway, so it's not the end of the world. And then we want to get this. Need to try and get things lined up in the correct orientation. So HS2 wants to head off towards Manchester Airport, and this wants to come in to join it. So we're gonna bring it up as much as possible. Hopefully we can get a nice bridge in. What sort of speed are we doing on that? 56. That's a bit. Well, that's that sort of bridge, though, isn't it? 58. No, stop pressing shift all the time. 80. That's a little bit better. Can I bring this down without? No, I can't. I'll have to leave it there. But if I bring it back a little bit, maybe, just take a quick look. It is glitching a little bit, maybe lift it up a tiny fraction, like so, and then start to bring this down as quick as possible. Again, this junction is going to be elongated, but it's not the end of the world. And what sort of speed could we achieve? 185, 180, as long as we keep it around that sort of speed. Now, the next thing we need to do is another junction off of the West Coast Main Line. Maybe if I just do a slip, which is kind of snap to the West Coast Main Line and then over. Is it going to let me do that? Not going to be very quick though, that's the only thing. We put the China bridge on, the Chinese bridge, because that seems to give us a nice long span. And I love the way it hides the speed underneath the bridge icon. So it's 65 now. I think we can do a little better than that. Try and bring it down. Nope, don't snap. Over, down. Then we bring it down, we just no, I think that's much as we're going to get away with. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then we need to bring this round and down. Yeah, it's not going to be 60, 70, that's a little bit better. And then get the HS2 over in that sort of direction. 186. Now it's going to be slab track, isn't it? So it's going to be quicker. And then if we come from here, come alongside HS2 up to there. No, that's going to glitch into there. All right, push that back a little bit up to there. 196. Yeah, that's starting to speed up as we head off. So just looking for Manchester Airport around there. So we still needs to curve a little bit, not too much. 124. Well, that's not too bad. Well, not too bad. That's a maximum speed you can get out of this track. And then we need to get a nice big long slip. Switch in. No, come on, from here down. 113. So what's we looking like? We're not glitching terribly, are we? It's not massively ugly, I don't think. Doesn't look like a roller coaster too much. And then we want to do, yeah, the only problem I find with doing snapped switches is it does provide a nice, really smooth looking switch, but it's that transition to the track, it just makes it look a little bit awkward. But I think I prefer having too much of everything. I think that was. I prefer having the fastest switch possible, so we don't slow down services too much. Right, so it was about this time that, yet again, unfortunately, the sound cut out on my recording software that I was using. I don't know why it's doing this. It's very frustrating. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. The only thing I can think is that maybe there was an overload on the recording software, and I guess this map is absolutely enormous now and is taking quite a lot of my system's resources. So I think maybe in the future I will pause the game instead of playing it at ×4 speed as it appeared to be now. But we were just about wrapping up the junction anyway, so we'd finished most of, well, the vast majority of the work we were doing in this episode anyway. Obviously we just need to put a couple of signals in just to get that all lined up. Basically what this junction does is it allows trains that have come from the Manchester direction to stop at Crewe, which wasn't part of the plan originally, so there might be like a Manchester Airport Birmingham service, or there might even be one coming from Manchester City Centre down to London Euston. And I think it also allows for a bit of flexibility if something happens around HS3 in the future. I think actually, yeah, definitely, if HS3 gets built from Liverpool to Manchester, then the Liverpool trains, which under the current proposals would be classic compatibles from Liverpool Lime Street, calling Runcorn and Crewe, and then onto the HS2 line at the junction we built in the last episode, they would instead go from Liverpool on a brand new HS3 line to a junction just south of Manchester Airport, join onto HS2, and then they'd be able to come off again to stop at Crewe, because I think there's proposals for one of the Liverpool services to join up with a Preston classic compatible service to couple together to form a 400 metre long, well, two units joining together to form a 400 metre long set to go onto HS2, and in that way it kind of maximises the capacity that's available on HS2. So I'm pretty certain this junction will get built, because it is kind of integral to any future plans for HS3 and provides flexibility for any future services. So yeah, that's the junction built anyway. I have already pre-recorded the next episode, and the sound issue isn't there on that particular episode, so I don't know what's going on. It is a little bit frustrating, but yeah, this map really is probably starting to challenge my PC a little bit now, because it is absolutely enormous. I'm pretty certain we can, but I'm hoping that we can get HS2 completely finished on the west and east side, and maybe HS3 as well, but I think we'll just have to see on that one. I do have hopefully some more RAM on the way. That won't really help a great deal, but maybe it will. I don't know. Who knows? So I don't know why these things happen sometimes. Just a little bit frustrating. So we're just putting the final road connections over this big junction that we built. Actually, in the end, it wasn't as tricky as I expected. It was a little bit more straightforward. Another grade separated junction build. The next junction that I build is a little bit more tricky, that's for sure. It's very, very complicated arrangements, especially with the passive provision for HS3 as well. So the build's pretty much finished now, and I'm just finishing up the last little bits of road construction, so I'm going to leave it there. I'll just leave it playing out with some music, but I'm going to say until next time, bye bye.